Hello everyone. In this video we are going to discuss about the chapter Microbes in Human Welfare. And this video focuses on part 3, that is microbes in industrial products. This chapter is in class 12 CBSE syllabus, and generally there are 1 to 2 questions from this chapter in the NET examination. So as we progress through this part, we will also look at the potential questions that can be there. So industrial production requires the formation of large quantities of the product, So any product that needs to be produced in very large quantities, then there is industrial production of that particular product. This process normally involves microbial reactions to proceed in a specialized vessel called as fermenter or a bioreactor. And this is how like a fermenter or a bioreactor looks like. These are like very big vessels in which certain products and microbes are added, and then the microbes undergo various reactions in a specialized vessel. So the reactions in a specialized vessels are called as fermenter or a bioreactor. And then there are examples, of certain industrial products that basically use microbial reactions. And these are fermented beverages, antibiotics, chemicals, enzymes, and other bioactive molecules. And now we'll have a look at each one of them. So first we look at fermented beverages. So what is fermentation? Fermentation is a natural metabolic process in which yeast converts the carbohydrates, which includes starch or sugar, into alcohol. So sugar is like a monosaccharide, single molecule. Starch is like a large number of monosaccharides together. So fermentation is a natural metabolic process. It occurs naturally. It is not artificially synthesized. It occurs naturally, in which yeast, which is a microbe, converts carbohydrates into alcohol. Yeast and certain bacteria play key role in fermentation process to break down carbohydrate into ethanol and carbon dioxide. And how does this happen? There is glucose molecule. It is like a sugar, so it can be either glucose or any other sugar, and by the process of glycolysis it results in the formation of pyruvate. And then pyruvate undergoes conversion into acetaldehyde by pyruvate decarboxylase, and in this process carbon dioxide is released. There is release of carbon dioxide, and as a result of which carbon dioxide is formed. And then again this acetaldehyde undergoes conversion by the enzyme alcohol dehydrogenase to form ethanol. So you see the first molecule was glucose, and then the end product is ethanol plus carbon dioxide that was already released before. And the microbes that help in this entire process are yeast, and other bacteria also. They play a key role in fermentation process to break down carbohydrate to ethanol and carbon dioxide. So these yeasts have been used for the production of beverages like wine, beer, whiskey, brandy or rum. So now we will look slowly at different steps of the beer formation, the beer fermentation process by microorganisms. So what happens is that there are certain cereal grains, like which are usually barley. So the first product is barley for the formation of beer. So usually barley is put into a certain crusher molecule so that the barley molecules are crushed basically, So these barley molecules are crushed, and then the crushed barley molecules are put in a mixing tank, and then there is also malt that is added. And what is malt? Malt is basically again these grain seeds but that are germinated, and like they are added to the mixing tank that already contains these barley grains which are crushed. And what is the advantage of adding this malt which is germinated? it increases the concentration of the starch digesting enzymes that provide the sugar for fermentation. In the previous slide we saw how yeast and other microbes produce, alcohol from glucose. Similarly, like from starch, it is possible to make alcohol. So this malted or germinated barley or grain will increase the amount of or the concentration of the starch digesting enzymes, the enzymes that were involved. So this malt and barley is then put in this mixing tank and then it is mashed, like very easy. They are basically converting everything into smaller parts, so then it is mashed. And generally here they use like a high temperature. Generally here they use a high temperature in this step. So then it is mashed. So again, if we revise, first we take grain, barley, we crush them, we add malt, which is germinated barley, and this increases the concentration of the enzymes that will convert sugar into alcohol. And then again, it is mashed at high temperature. Generally this temperature is like 65 degrees Celsius. So at this temperature it is mashed. And then there is a liquid extracted. So this wort is basically a liquid, because if you put it at high temperature, then there will be a liquid, which is what is separated from this mix after few hours. Okay. Then to the wort, there is a flour called as hops is added for flavoring. So this hops is basically a flour. So this flour is added for flavoring, and in addition there is sugar also that is added. Okay, and then what happens is that once you add the hops and the sugar, it is basically brewing in a brew kettle. And then the most important step is the addition of the microbe. The microbe Saccharomyces cerevisiae is added so that the process of fermentation takes place. And what is this process of fermentation? It is conversion of sugar to alcohol. And we previously saw, how the conversion of glucose or other sugar takes place to ethanol. So this yeast Saccharomyces cerevisiae is responsible for conversion of sugar into alcohol. And then the products that are formed here, they are like alcohol is formed here, carbon dioxide is formed here as we saw, and other molecules are also formed that add to the flavor of the beer. Here we put hops, that is a flour which adds to the flavor, and then it is stored in a tank which is called as the lagering tank, and then beer is fertilized, pasteurized, and then it is bottled. So you see how from like a grain barley, it results in the formation of beer. And why does this happen? Because there is this yeast, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, that converts the sugar into alcohol. So if we quickly go through the process once again, there is this barley grain that is crushed, and then the malt is added, which is germinated, and it increases the concentration of enzymes. It basically increases the concentration of enzymes that causes conversion of sugar into alcohol, and then it is again mashed and it is put in a mashed tun, or like for mashing, further crushing it, and here they increase the temperature to 65 degrees, and then wort comes out of this. Wort is what? It is nothing but a liquid, and then it is brewed along with hops, which adds flavor. Hops is a kind of flour that will add flavor to the beer, and they also add sugar. And after they add the sugar, they add the yeast, Saccharomyces. So this yeast, which is a microbe, is responsible for conversion of sugar into alcohol, and the end products are alcohol and carbon dioxide, and this is how beer is formed, and then it is filtered, pasteurized, and then bottled. So you see how a yeast Saccharomyces, which is a microbe, is responsible for the formation of beer. So yeast Saccharomyces cerevisiae used for bread making, it is very common in bread making. You add yeast, and it is also commonly called as brewer's yeast is used for fermenting malted cereals and fruit juices to produce ethanol. And we really saw an example of beer, how like these malted grains or malted cereals, they are malted or germinated because they increase the amount of enzymes, that are required to break these sugar to produce ethanol or alcohol. So depending on the type of raw material used for fermentation and the type of processing, with or without distillation, different types of alcoholic drinks are obtained. How is beer formed? We just saw beer is formed by grains, So depending upon the raw material, like the first material, like for beer it was grains, for other it is different, And then the type of processing, either you can do distillation or you cannot do distillation. Different types of alcoholic drinks are obtained. Wine and beer are processed without distillation, and we really saw the example of beer in the previous slide. Whereas whiskey, brandy and rum, which are more concentrated, they are produced by distillation of fermented broth. So you see how like a microbe, Saccharomyces, is responsible for the industrial production of alcohol. Next we see is antibiotics. We all know, I think, what antibiotics are. Sometimes when you are sick, you have a bacterial infection, you have to take antibiotics. So an antibiotic is defined as a chemical substance produced by microorganisms, So this antibiotic that you generally take is also produced by a certain microorganism that has the capacity to inhibit the growth of bacteria and even destroy bacteria and other microorganism in dilute solution. So, there is a particular microorganism that will produce an antibiotic. So, as the name suggests, anti, it is against the bacteria. So, certain microorganisms, they have the capacity to inhibit the growth of bacteria. How they will inhibit? Because these antibiotics are present there, So, these antibiotics are inhibiting the growth of bacteria. Okay. So, you must be familiar with the commonly used antibiotic, penicillin. It was the first antibiotic to be discovered, It was used in World War II also, to treat a lot of patients. So it was the first antibiotic that was discovered. Alexander Fleming, while working on Staphylococci bacteria, once observed a mold growing in one of his unwashed culture plates around which Staphylococci could not grow, So what he had, he basically had a plate, like a culture plate, in which he was growing the Staphylococci bacteria. And then, he observed a particular area which he called as mold, where there was no Saccharomyces. So, here, like let's say this is the Saccharomyces growing here, but in this area there was no Staphylococci bacteria that was growing. And because it was not growing here, this was because there was penicillin present here. So, penicillin basically inhibited the growth of this Staphylococci bacteria. Streptomycin, neomycin, chloramphenicol and chlorotetracycline are produced by various microorganisms and are used as antibiotics. So microorganisms such as Streptomyces grisris and Bacillus subtilis are commonly used in the production of various antibiotics. So you must remember, all these names of the antibiotics that are produced from various microorganisms, and these microorganisms that are commonly used in production of various antibiotics. So you really should understand the concept. An antibiotic, it is a chemical substance produced by a microorganism. It will be produced by one microorganism that is capable of inhibiting the growth of another bacteria. And penicillin was the first antibiotic that was discovered. And then there are certain characteristics that an ideal antibiotic must have. It should be soluble in body fluids to reach the microorganisms, It should be soluble, like it should be capable, like if you take it as a pill, generally the antibiotics are taken, in the form of a pill, or sometimes when it is more severe disease, it can be in the form of injections, but it should be soluble in body fluids, for example, it should be soluble in blood, etc., so that it can reach the microorganisms. It should have selective toxicity to act only against that particular microorganism, So what happens, our body normally also contains a lot of microorganisms that are very good, for the body, for the growth. And if you take an antibiotic, it can basically kill any bacteria. So we don't want that it should kill the good bacteria. Therefore, it should have the selective toxicity only against the microorganism that we want to be killed. Its toxicity should not be altered by interacting with other substances in the body. For example, the stomach contains a lot of gastric juices that are acidic, or somewhere there are alkaline juices present inside the body. So the toxicity should not be altered, by interacting with these kinds of substances, So it should be very strong. This is very important. It should not elicit an allergic reaction in the host. Sometimes you develop allergy, like people develop allergy against pollen during the spring and they start sneezing and everything. So this antibiotic should not elicit an allergic reaction in the host. It should be stable in the body and be degraded and excreted slowly, And this is because so that it can stay in the body for a longer time, and kill these microorganisms, and degraded and excreted slowly. The next one is also very important. The resistance to the antibiotic should not be acquired by the microorganisms. So sometimes what happens is, sometimes if you fall sick and you go to the doctor always tells you like, yeah, you should definitely take this medicine for 5 days, even after 3 days, let's say, you are okay, don't stop the medicine. This is why. This is because, there are a lot of microorganisms, let's say, lot of bacteria there inside your body somewhere, and you take an antibiotic. You take an antibiotic against these bacteria, and then what happens, at certain time only these many bacteria died, but these are living, and then you stop the medicine. So what happens, these bacteria will basically develop a resistance. They will modify themselves. So the next time when you fall sick and you take the same antibody, these bacteria will not die. Therefore, it is also very important that first of all, the antibiotic should be good. It should be very good that it is not developing any kind of resistance. And the second is, you should always take the full course of medicine. So the resistance to antibiotic should not be acquired by the microorganism. It should be effective against all the strains of that particular microorganism. It is important that it is capable of killing all the strains of that particular microorganism. It should have a long shelf life. It is similar to when we said that it should stay in the body for a longer period, so that it can act, its acting period is long, and it should be reasonably priced, again, so that everybody can buy it. So these are certain properties or characteristics of an ideal antibiotic. So next, the microbes in human welfare can be used for chemicals, enzymes and other bioactive molecules. So the first is organic acid. Citric acid is produced on an industrial scale by fermentation of crude sugar solutions of molasses with Aspergillus niger, which is a fungus. So if you want industrial production of citric acid, like if you want to produce citric acid on an industrial scale, it can be done by a fungus, Aspergillus niger. The second is Acetobacter aceti, which is a bacterium that produces acetic acid. And vinegar also contains like a large amount of acetic acid. So Acetobacter aceti is a bacterium that produces acetic acid. The next is butyric acid, which is prepared from fermentation of sugar or starch with Clostridium butylicum, which is again a bacterium. So these are all organic acids: citric acid, acetic acid, butyric acid, and lactic acid. Fermentation is performed by Lactobacillus bacteria. And if you remember in part 2, we discussed about curd, and there we discussed about lactic acid bacteria. So if you need to produce large amount of lactic acid, fermentation is performed by Lactobacillus bacteria. So organic acids like citric acid, acetic acid, butyric acid, lactic acid are also formed by various different microorganisms, for industrial production if you want. And here we see how basically, one of the examples of acetic acid, or also like which is a big component of vinegar. So it is made from ethyl alcohol by Acetobacter aceti. This is the microorganism, and it oxidizes the alcohol to acetic acid. The vinegar that is commercially produced contains 4% of acetic acid, and the reaction for this process is as follows. So what happens is there is ethanol. So previously, we saw how ethanol was formed, but now we see how acid is formed. So ethanol plus oxygen result in the formation of acetic acid and water, and what is used here in this case, it is Acetobacter. It is Acetobacter aceti. And here if you look, it is like a certain kind of setup that is used for the production of vinegar or for acetic acid. So what happens, there is this air, and along with the air there is ethanol that is passed inside, and along with ethanol there is also Acetobacter aceti. So this part contains both ethanol plus Acetobacter aceti. This is with small a. So what happens here, in this setup there is mixing of ethanol and this microorganism Acetobacter aceti, and it circulates here, and also the temperature is maintained at 35 degrees, and then there is air that is passed in and passed out, and at certain point what happens is that there is sucking of alcohol that takes place by pump, and as a result of which vinegar is formed. So here like acetic acid is formed in this particular setup because ethanol and Acetobacter aceti are constantly run here, and a temperature of 35 degrees is maintained, and then here it results in the formation of vinegar, and then this vinegar is further processed, resulting in the formation of more acetic acid. So like a lot of microorganisms, as we saw in previous slides, are responsible for the formation of organic acids, and Acetobacter aceti is responsible for the formation of acetic acid. Then is enzymes. So amylase is an enzyme, and it is used in the manufacture of beer, bread and textiles. It is obtained from Aspergillus oryzae, A. niger, Rhizopus oryzae, etc. So these are the microorganisms that are responsible for the formation, that are actually used for the production of amylase, this enzyme. And this enzyme is used in the manufacture of beer, bread and textiles. Then lipase, it is a detergent formulation to remove oily stains. It can also be found in various microorganisms. The next enzyme is streptokinase. It is also called as tissue plasminogen activator or TPA. It is produced by the bacterium Streptococcus. It is used as a clot buster for removing blood clot in patients suffering from myocardial infarction. So what happens in myocardial infarction? Within the heart there are clots, and to remove these clots, you need this enzyme tissue plasminogen activator or TPA, which is produced by the bacterium Streptococcus. So you see these microorganisms, that we always had this conception that they are bad or something. No, these microorganisms are used for the production of various good molecules also. For example, here Streptococcus is used as a clot buster. Like Streptococcus bacterium produces the streptokinase, and they are used as clot buster for removing blood clot in patients suffering from myocardial infarction. Next is pectinases. They are obtained from fungi grown on pectin containing media. For example, Aspergillus niger, Bicyclemys fulvo. So these are the names of the microorganisms that you must remember. And what are these pectinases? They are used in enhancing juice extraction from fruits, for clearing of fruit juice, removing bitterness and fermentation of green coffee. So you see there are so many advantages or so many importances of these pectinases, and they are obtained from these organisms, Aspergillus niger or Bacillus fulvo. So you need to remember these names, and again you can write these names on a sheet of paper and continue looking at them quite often, and slowly you will remember them. And the next is proteases. So they are obtained from both bacteria, Bacillus subtilis, Bacillus licheniformis, and also from fungi, Aspergillus or Penicillium roqueforti. So these are the organisms from which various proteases can be obtained, and they are used in enhancing tenderness of meat, extraction of fish liver oil, etc. So industrial production of pectinases, proteases, they require various microorganisms. And then other bioactive molecules and products, for example, cyclosporin A. So it is used as an immunosuppressive agent in organ transplant patients, and it is produced by the fungus Trichoderma polysporum. So Trichoderma polysporum is a fungus that produces cyclosporin A, and the cyclosporin A is used as an immunosuppressive agent in organ transplantation patients. So whenever there is an organ transplantation taking place, one person gives the organ to another person, so there can be sometimes a mismatch that can elicit the immune response. So cyclosporin A is used as an immunosuppressive agent, and it is produced by the fungus Trichoderma polysporum. So you can really expect these kind of questions from this part, like which organism is used in the production of what, like they can always ask you like which organism produces cyclosporin A, which is an immunosuppressive agent, like this. So next is statins. They are produced by yeast Monaskis purpureus, and they have been commercialized as blood cholesterol lowering agents. So you see again, like statins, which are a blood cholesterol lowering agent, are produced by a yeast. So it's really interesting to know how these microorganisms are helping science and helping in treating various diseases. It acts by competitively inhibiting the enzyme responsible for the synthesis of cholesterol. So statins basically inhibit cholesterol formation. Okay, and they are produced by a particular yeast. So this part basically focused on a lot of microorganisms used in industrial production, and industrial production included like production of beer, production of beverages, production of enzymes, antibiotics, etc. So from this chapter you can sometimes expect direct questions, for example, which is the microorganism that is used for the production of beer, let's say, or which is the microorganism that helps in the production of statins, So that's how you need to remember all these microorganisms, and the best way is to create again a table and continue like revising it every day, and at some point you will slowly easily learn and memorize it. Thank you for watching the video.